The Joe Rogan Experience.
Against circumcision? You don't agree with that?
No.
Really?
Yeah. No,
You're
I'm
cutting baby dicks?
I'm not like passionate about that. Are you?
Yeah, people lose their dicks. A lot of kids every year. Do you know children die from that?
They
Children
lose their dicks?
Yes, all the time. It's very common.
Really?
Yes, like multiple children per year lose their penis from an unnecessary, antiquated operation where you cut off their dicks to make it look different.
Okay.
You're cutting skin off of their dick, and they wind up getting infected, and they lose their dicks. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough time where you go, this should never happen. This is a completely unnecessary operation. Robert Baker estimates 229 deaths per year from circumcision in the United States. Bollinger estimates that approximately 119 infant boys die from circumcision-related each year in the U.S., 1.3% of all male neonatal deaths from all causes. There are several case reports of death in the medical literature. Yeah, it's not simple. You're cutting skin. Skin is an organ. You have an unnecessary, and I'm circumcised. You have an unnecessary operation that you're doing to an infant, and it's decorative. Mm-hmm. And I had a joke about it.
And you don't buy any of the studies about how it prevents STDs and...
No, I don't. Wash your dick.
I cannot believe we're talking about this.
We should be talking about it. Well, why not? Kids are dying. It's like, how many of them have to die before we say this is a ancient, ridiculous ritual? It doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
I've seen the arguments for and against, like that it prevents STDs. Like, look, you know what prevents STDs? Condoms and abstinence. Mm-hmm. That's what prevents STDs, and in some cases, vaccinations. This is what prevents STDs. This circumcision is ridiculous. It doesn't even make any sense.
Okay, cannot believe I stumbled into this because I was talking about Andrew Yang.
You fucked up.
I guess I did. I didn't know this was like a strongly held... You're an intactivist. Is that what it's called?
Whatever. Intactivist. That's a good way to put it. I've never heard that expression, but that's exactly what I am. Yeah, don't cut baby dicks. It's real simple. When you say it that way, people go, yeah, that sounds gross. When you say, oh, circumcision, like, oh, what a wonderful ritual, and it's symbolic of your journey until... Get the fuck out of here. You're cutting baby dicks. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's not as disgusting as what they do to women's clitorises in certain
well, that makes it
Muslim
impossible to
have
an orgasm.
It's a different reason for doing it, but you're mutilating a kid. Is there in that community? Is there acceptance? Is there open? Is it just about like they don't give a fuck just as long as you're a real powerlifter? Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's yeah. When I came out, it was super cool. Nobody really gave me any shit. That's the best part about strongman. You know, I know you had Rob Oberst in here not too long ago, and he even mentioned, he's something, but I love him. You know, he mentioned just like the community of strongman is awesome because like we all realize what we have to do to get to this level of sport, and we all have to be a little bit of sick and twisted in the head to look at a truck and get excited to pull it. So yeah, when I came out, like nobody really gave a shit. They were just like, all right, as long as you can still lift weights, we don't care.
Yeah, that's it mirrors the comedy community in that way
for sure.
Like stand-up comedy community, nobody gives a shit.
No. As long as you're funny and you're doing your job, like that's all that really matters.
And we know some that are in the closet, and we're like, "Come on, man! Just no one cares. Come out. No one gives a shit."
It'll probably be funnier,
right? It's more subject matter for
sure.
You
know, not holding on to as much. It's easier to talk. Like when I came out, just like the weight off my shoulders was unbelievable.
How long ago was this?
That was 2014. So I was 22 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was a late bloomer in the gay world.
Was it like when you were in high school and like first of all, when do you know?
I don't know that I have I don't remember, I never had an aha moment per se. For me, it was going through high school, I was involved in a bunch of stuff. Was a cheerleader actually, also played football, was doing the weightlifting thing, was class president, so had my hands in a bunch of different pots. College, super into everything as well, and really just focused on school, and actually dated a girl for a year and a half.
In college?
In college, yeah.
Did you ever date a boy?
No.
So, but did you oh, damn, I wish she was a boy. She's cool, but...
It was, yeah, pretty much. It was it was more like a friendship than a relationship, I guess is the way to put it. You know, like we were cool and everything was going well, but like nothing else was really going on.
When you came out, was she like, aha?
That was the reason I broke up with her.
Oh, you came out.
Because, meanwhile, I'm dating this girl, but I'm watching gay porn when she's not around. I'm like, this isn't right. There's something else going on here.
So did you, was it gay porn, finding gay porn? You're like, that's what I like.
Pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
One of my best friends, Mo, he, for whatever reason, this one night we were up on the roof drinking and smoking weed, and we got to talking just about life, and he was actually born with a heart defect. I can't remember the exact name of the disease that he had, but he was in and out of hospitals his whole life. He was eventually going to need to get a heart transplant, and he's like, what do you want to do with your life? I looked at him like he was asking me what I want to do when I got to the moon. I'm like, what do you mean, what do I want to do with my life? And I was like, well, I always wanted to fight, and expecting him to laugh at me about this. He was like, well, why don't you? Like, why don't you do it? And, I told him, well, I feel old already. I was 18 at the time. I already felt ancient then, and I told him all my reasons and all my fears and doubts and all these things. He's like, you know what, man? He's like, if anybody can do it, you can. He's like, I think you should. And that always stuck with me. I was like, maybe I can. And in that moment, I felt very motivated and wanted to do it, but by continuing to drink and all these other things, I just suppressed it into the back of my mind. And then about a year later, he was in the hospital, and he needed to get a heart transplant. He was basically at that point was like, you're going to be here until you get one, or you're going to die. And I don't think any of us realized how serious it was, or maybe we just didn't want to. He ended up passing away while he was waiting for the transplant, and that just obviously devastated me to no end. And through that night, through my drunken coping, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go after this dream. My friend, he didn't even get a chance to fail at a dream, and I'm too scared to even try for no reason, just out of fear. That's literally my only reason not to do this, other than, financial and all those other surface things, but it really just boiled down to fear. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go after this for him. He didn't get a chance to live. I'm gonna live for the both of us. But unfortunately, his death sent me even harder down that downward spiral of alcohol and depression. And 3 years later, I just had a realization one day. I was like, if he was still alive, he'd beat the fuck out of me for wasting my life. I've been wasting my life for 21 years because I'm afraid. I'm afraid, and I'm too afraid to fail. I'm too afraid of all these stupid reasons that all of us give ourselves in order to make ourselves feel better about not going after things. But really, they're just that. They're just excuses. They're just things that make you feel better. And they're bullshit. They're all bullshit. Almost every excuse we have is total bullshit, because there's people with those excuses and with all those reasons and more, and they do it. And like, what is your excuse?
But was it right away? Just you walked into this lion's den of people doing drugs. Who's patient zero? Who? Because there wasn't that many of you, right?
Well, I think that it came to a culmination at the Ding Ho, because we basically ran and owned the place, and we'd stay there until. I can remember walking on there many times going, oh, beautiful, it's not even light out yet. It'd be 6:30 in the morning.
Right.
But we were serving drinks, and half the people, there'd be 10, 12 comedians sitting around, and 4 or 5 other guys, and the other guys are cops. They're in there drinking with us, too. So we weren't going to get busted or anything. I mean, when Kenny Rosen first got there, he walked in the door there. He got there, I don't know how, but he got there around 2 in the morning. And there's 6 or 7 of us, they're either smoking joints, doing some lines, drinking, and we're up on the stage playing cards, for money. And he goes, what is this place?
Paradise.
Yeah, he had no idea. He goes, someone said, well, what do you want for a drink? He goes, well, who are the tequila drinkers? And everybody goes, nobody, you asked. So then he's getting into other stuff. So, and he made up for lost time, too.
That was what we'd always heard about the Ding Ho, like it was like some legendary place. You know, when we were starting out, it closed in like 84 or something. Right?
I don't know about the maybe right around that.
Someone
a little bit later.
I started in 88, and we had heard about the Ding Ho. It was like it was spoken in hushed tones. Yeah, it was like that's where it started.
Well, it closed in a heartbeat because the owner lost the club and playing Chinese dominoes. No, he lost $240,000 in one night, and it was my night. Then I had my show there on Fridays. I come in and I never saw chains or padlocks bigger than that on the front and back door. Never to be reopened as a comedy club. It became a Indian restaurant or something.
This sport demands a different perspective. It's not the same thing as a ball going into a hoop. No. It's not the same thing as crossing a line with a football. No. It's different. It's very intense and very personal. And it's also very fucking dangerous. And to play it off like it's just a game, I don't agree with it. And I just think that we have plenty of fucking people out there that understand the sport. There's plenty of them.
Yep.
But the thing about him is he's really popular. And Jamie, when you saying he just got a giant deal or something like that?
He's the top paid. I had his contract up. He's got like an extension to get like $8 million a year now or something like that.
Yeah, and that's because his personality is so fun. He's a fun guy to watch, and people love shit talking. Mm-hmm. They love two people arguing about shit, and one person's better at arguing. And Stephen A. Smith is really good at that stuff. But it's not the place for MMA. It's just not the place. It's not the same thing.
It's not because the guys themselves can fight. Yeah. You know, when you see what happened last night at Kansas and Kansas State or whatever, and they started throwing punches, and it was like it looked like a bunch of girls throwing windmills. You know what I mean? Like that's really the reality of it. Is like, and now if he wants to go out there and talk about it, go ahead and talk about it. He can say all the things he wants because these are college kids that can't fight. Obviously, we just saw.
Right.
You know, but we're talking about professional athletes. Their life has been around this craft.
Yes.
And now you're going to say things like that. It's very disrespectful.
It's just so common with sports to talk about a guy who can't show up on game day, to talk about a guy who keeps dropping the ball, talk about a guy and you shit on those guys, but it's just a different thing with fighting. And it's also with fighting, like you have to know it or no one's going to respect you. If you don't know what you're talking about and you're talking about it in front of millions of people, like, man, that's a bad look for everybody.
Yep.
It's a bad look for ESPN. It's a bad look for him. It's a bad look for the sport. It's like there's other people that can do this.